Okay, good evening, all. Uh, this afternoon, we're going to continue with our guest speakers from San Jose State University. We have Lydia Chan and Alan Wong, and they will be sharing the projects that they do with their students to serve the community. And I'm very excited to have them here with us tonight, and sharing some of the experiences, because cybersecurity is very, very important for us, and we like to see innovative ways that they encourage their students to go out and share. So thank you and welcome you all.
You're welcome. We're happy to be here.
Hey, hi, thank you for joining us at this session. This is Alan Wong from San Jose State University. I'm the director of the Silicon Valley Center for Global Studies, and the center is associated with our College for Professional and Global Education. Prior to returning to the academia, I actually have been in the industry for a number of years, working at Intel. And my background was in silicon processing technology, and it's wonderful actually to return, I guess, from the industry and bring all this knowledge back to the university. And with me is my colleague, Lydia Chan. Lydia? All right. So I'm going to actually start talking about this project. Actually, it's a joint project that we have been working with Trend Micro and the San Jose Public Library. But before that, I want to give you some background about San Jose State and about cybersecurity. So I'm going to kind of briefly touch about the reason we are doing it and what has been happening, I guess, in this last year. For some of you that this may be a familiar graphics for you, this is actually coming from CyberSeek, cyberseek.org. It has a heat map about all the cybersecurity job demand at both the national, state, or metropolitan level. I just want to kind of highlight here. If you look at the San Francisco Bay Area, like Silicon Valley, San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara area, you can see that we have like 14,000 openings right now at this moment. In the Greater Bay Area, in San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward, right, that other area right nearby is another 22,000. So obviously there's a high demand. If you look at California, overall, there's 100,000 jobs, right, right there. So for San Jose State, we have 36,000 students in our enrollment. About 10% of them are actually international students. We are the first public university on the West Coast, started in 1857. So for a long time, we are known to be the largest supplier of talents to Silicon Valley. And within the university, we have many cyber-related programs. Of course, right, it's easy to see them in computer science, in engineering, but we also have programs in our business school, in our School of Information, in our actually psychology program. There's a faculty that works on the human factor related to cybersecurity, and also in the area of justice studies. So in many different ways, we're trying to diversify the pool of cyber talent that will be able to support the growth of that industry. This presentation actually was also part of the most recent NICE conference, the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education conference. That actually the one happened yesterday. So since last year, right, we have been kind of talking about the different work that we have been working around this topic. So I just want to kind of bring your attention to one of these activities that we do. Innovate for Future is a STEM competition for both high school and college level teams to participate in the STEM competition. So we actually work with the youth committee at the Hong Kong Electronics and Technology Association, who organized this competition in Hong Kong. So we try to incorporate a lot of these cyber concepts into their learning in this competition. And hopefully when they put their proposal together or their in the competition, they will incorporate all these cyber concepts in it. Well, as you can imagine, right, during this pandemic, all the online commerce, right, has been seeing a lot of growth. Well, at the same time, cybercrime, right, actually is having a high growth as well. So the demand on cybersecurity personnel is definitely in high demand. So over the summer, we actually organized a speaker series called Secure Your Digital Future. And we feature experts from the industry to talk about the various aspects about the growth in cyber security. And we have, of course, with Trend Micro, with Palo Alto Network, with Cisco and Intel's folks to actually come help our students to learn about the latest trend. So this is actually a program that originally started as our summer in Silicon Valley program. Well, because of the pandemic, we could no longer bring students on site. So we decided to bring all these experts to them. Also, earlier last month, we actually delivered a College Week program. So this is part of the San Jose State role, working with a lot of the local community to encourage high school students to attend college. So in this College Week, we try to kind of expose them to different topics, right, that they could learn right, in college. So in this particular program, there are 3 modules. There's a Young Entrepreneurs Academy, and again, there's a Secure Your Digital Future workshop, and there's also one in Engineering in Action. So again, we're trying to kind of use different ideas to capture the students' attention. One of them is by using games, right? And of course, in this time of the pandemic, since we cannot do a lot of physical activity with the students, we have to find different ways to kind of get them motivated. So this week is the National Cybersecurity Career Awareness Week. So we have a number of activities. One, of course, is this one that we partner with Trend Micro, the initiative in education, having this virtual summit. 2 days later, we actually have our San Jose State University Cyber Aware Day, and we actually have various industry speakers to come and speak to our students. We also offer a intro to cybersecurity workshop that is open to Silicon Valley attendees. So this basically just give you some idea about some of the work that we have been doing around this topic. And next, I'm going to give it to Lydia to talk about the specific project that we have in cybersecurity with via Minecraft.
Excellent. Okay, so my name's Lydia. I'm an externals relations manager. I worked at Intel for like 26 plus years before I joined the university because I want to serve the community again. So let me quickly go over our project. Our project is to teach youth cybersecurity using Minecraft. Minecraft is a very, very popular game developed by Microsoft. In this game, the players build structures to protect themselves. So in our project, we use a train-the-trainer approach. The top-level trainers are industry experts from Trend Micro. They teach the university students or high school students who in turn will assist in teaching lower grade elementary school or middle school students online at a library program. Next, please. So how do we find partners? We want to focus on the community, especially the underserved communities. So we look for nonprofit organizations such as Sacred Heart, Sunnyvale Community Services, YMCA, Boy Scouts of America, and obviously the library, San Jose Public Library, district schools, meetups, university clubs, or independent studies, such as the Cyber Spartan program at San Jose State University. Next, please. Eventually, we have decided to work with San Jose Public Library because of the community. So let's look at some quick stats and facts. It served over 1 million population, has 25 facilities across the valley, over about 500 staff, and 6 million visitors a year. Particular, it supports lots of homework sessions. So kind of fit into what we're looking for, over 8,000 of them. Many programs and events, and many volunteer hours. In short, it has a massive, massive community outreach, especially in the underserved community. So that's one of the reasons why we want to partner with them. Next, please. Okay, so let's look at the Minecraft cybersecurity project for youth. A Pacific Library Partnership grant drove the development of the original cybersecurity Minecraft program. I then worked with the head librarian at the youth services at the San Jose Public Library to start the partnership, Lissy. And then I introduced Trend Micro to the library. So Mitchell started talking to them. During the execution of the project, the librarians, additional librarians, led the program with San Jose State University students assisting the program. Next, please. So why Minecraft? Minecraft is like the real world. There are bad mobs and zombies who want to steal your stuff or hurt you. So the kids love the games. If you have like kids, you probably already know about the game. If you don't, we'll have 2 quick demos, video demos, and you'll get an idea. Players learn bad security consequences with a poor design and implementation. They will lose their assets, storage, or the shelters might be destroyed. With a good design, they can get around safely and quickly and protect their assets. So in short, the security concepts are actually automatically built into the game. So that's why Minecraft is a good option to teach cybersecurity. Next, please. So during the project, we want to teach the kids to be cyber smart and very savvy. We teach them concepts like firewall, secure tunnels, passwords, multi-factor authentication. We will do 2 videos here. The first video, our San Jose State University student will show how the concepts are being taught to the lower grades. And in the second video, a 6th grader will apply the concepts they learn and use it in the game. So let's roll the video.
Hi, I'm Terry Lee, and I am a San Jose State student. I volunteered to help the Minecraft and cybersecurity course that was held this past summer. The course was co-created by San Jose State University and San Jose Public Library with the purpose of teaching young students cybersecurity concepts and how to stay safe online. So why did we choose Minecraft? So Minecraft can emulate the internet and all its dangers through its hostile characters. For example, creepers, witches, zombies, and chicken jockey could be like the hackers, worms, the viruses, and the unfriendly users on the web. The goal of the course is to be able to teach students cybersecurity concepts through gameplay. And some of those concepts could be creating strong passwords, enabling multi-factor authentication, and recognizing malicious emails. So how does this translate over to Minecraft? In the summer, students were asked to create a house in Minecraft, and creating a house requires some basic things. For example, wood, steel, concrete, metal, and so on. That's exactly like creating a strong password. Strong passwords require a certain amount of length. There's also upper and lowercase letters, special characters, numbers, and the list goes on. So students were able to solidify that concept through creating a house. But some recognize that having a house in the open, out in the open in Minecraft is probably not a good idea. It's kind of like taping your password onto your monitor. So some students had the idea to camouflage their house, creating that extra layer of security from the dangers in the outside world. And that is like having a strong password manager or multi-factor authentication, where hackers need the password and also the device to verify that the correct person is logging in. Something that students haven't done yet is being able to recognize hostile characters in Minecraft and try to avoid engaging with them. And that is exactly like recognizing malicious emails, figuring out when emails are malicious and who's sending them. They have to be able to check the email address and recognize that it's not sent from a friend or family. So as you can see, connecting these cybersecurity concepts with Minecraft can help solidify the concepts and make it much more memorable for students. Without further ado, here's the demo of what students did in the summer.
Hi, this is Audrey Yee, and I'm a 6th grader. This is my giant house in Minecraft. I want to protect my house and show some cybersecurity concepts in the Minecraft world. There are several ways to protect yourself from bad mobs, such as enchanted diamond armor. So instead of a firewall, I have magma blocks surrounding my house. In addition to just one door, the house is also elevated with additional doors. This represents multi-factor authentication. There are multiple steps to get into the house. You have to go inside a skyscraper and take an ender pearl to teleport before you can enter the property. An ender pearl helps you to teleport. So this is equivalent to a very difficult password. Like so. I also have a secured tunnel that could keep bad guys out. I want to protect my house from bad mobs. Here's a tunnel. You could see that cybersecurity concepts are similar to how we play the game in Minecraft. Thanks for watching.
Okay, next, please. Okay, so let's go through our collaboration journey quickly. So I started talking with Trend Micro in late December 2019. Then in January and February, we start to look for partners. By February, we settled down to work with San Jose Public Library, but then COVID hit, so we have to do shelter in place and change plans. So we moved into doing online classes and do our Zoom train-the-trainer sessions online, do our first launch in May in 2D, and then do the second launch in 3D, the full version in July. Next, please. So one thing we learned during the project, collaboration uncovered, unexpected items. Like everyone else, we have to experience a lot of surprises this year. So how did we cope with it? So initially, we were going to do classes in person. We changed to online lessons. We were going to have Trend Micro volunteers, so university students assisting in the class. But in the end, we actually have high school and state university students doing the assistance in class. Instead of a lecture or workshop style, we play games. We will use Minecraft. Initially, the library planned to use a 2D design tool version, which is shown on the left here. It's actually less intuitive and not as fun for the children. In the end, we used the full 3D education versions provided by San Jose State University. Last but not least, we were going to do the launch in summer. Because of COVID, we actually pulled it in May and did the first launch in May and then the second launch in July. So our close communications allowed us to do these quick changes. Next, please. Collaboration helped us to uncover hidden resources and opportunities. 1 + 1 + 1 does not equal to 3. Instead of using the 2D version, we were able to give the library 3D versions for free. So this is something that we didn't realize in the beginning. And also, because of COVID, the fingerprinting services for adults were stopped for a while. We work around the issues by inviting the high school students to teach the class and assist in helping the children. So this is something different. As a result, we have a broader outreach from industry to college students, high school students, and to lower grade students. So this is something that we did not plan initially. This is my last foil, the key learnings. So in this project, we have successfully learned and trained youngest kids using the train-the-trainer approach. So we have experts teach college and high school students, and then they in turn is assisting teaching the lower grade students. With an open mind and frequent communication, collaboration help uncover hidden opportunities and resources. We were very flexible and implemented improvement very quickly. We only did the program in about half a year. So this is actually pretty impressive in terms of timeline. In the future, we'd like to collaborate with underserved communities, elementary schools more, so that they can learn more about cybersecurity. So thank you for watching. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Lydia and Alan. Very exciting program. And the questions, we're gonna leave them for the app, okay? But I really liked those programs. I have many questions that I hope we can get to through the app and directly with you about how we can replicate something like that with other universities and take that program to another, to you know, make it larger.
Yes,
because I think
give it to another community.
Yeah, and I really like that world that girl created. Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, it's appreciated. We now are up to 25 participants in our session, and our next speaker, if you noticed, we're going to go with different blocks. Our next speaker is Gregory Hall. He is a research professor currently at University of West Florida. He's going to be telling us about his journey and about the research that he is doing. Welcome, Gregory. I invite you to turn your video on and unmute your phone, your mic. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. Do you have my slide deck, or do I need to share my screen?
I need you to share your screen, please.
Okay, well, that'll just take one moment. I need to get the slideshow. Well, let me share screen and share PowerPoint.
And I'm going to go ahead and shut my camera off. You're not alone.
All right, so are you seeing the foil with my beautiful picture on it?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'm actually one ahead. Not that I actually have anything to say to this one, but I'm talking about cyber threats and modeling of simulation of cyber threats.
Exactly, fascinating.
So just a little bit about myself. I'm actually back home, as you might say. I went to high school and undergraduate program at the University of West Florida. Graduated high school in 1989 here in Gulf Breeze, just across the 3 Mile Bridge, which is now out thanks to Hurricane Sally. But it's we're recovering. It'll all be taken care of. But I did leave in 1994 and began my doctoral program. Started out at the University of Connecticut, finished at the University of Idaho. When I graduated, I became a full-time college professor at Texas State University. I did that for about 9 years and got into the field of digital forensics as a new and emerging research area. People hadn't even standardized at that point on what they wanted to call it. And Let's see if I can move this. From there, I ended up going into cleared defense contracting and worked for to work for a company called Mantech. Eventually, I went to Endeavor Systems, the Harris Corporation, in-game, which got acquired recently by Elastic. And
Wow.
you can tell how well my stocks did by the fact that I'm still working. Then I ended up at Accenture Federal Services when in-game sold off its Federal Services division. And I decided to look into going back to academia, and there was an opening at University of West Florida. So it was a chance to come home, and I live about 3/10 of a mile from my parents, and it's nice to be back.
Wow.
Very convenient.
Wow.
So that's my story. Now I'm a research scientist at both the University of West Florida and the Institute for Human Machine Cognition. Those are the guys who do the cool robot projects, as well as artificial intelligence and machine learning. And
Wow.
so on that side, I'm busy doing research on how to apply deep learning and other machine learning techniques to solving cybersecurity problems. But what I'm going to talk about to you guys here tonight, and I promise I'll stay on time, is this notion about cyber threat modeling and simulation. Now,
Wow.
cyber careers are incredibly hands-on keyboard jobs. I've had most of them that you can imagine over the 12-year time that I was in defense contracting. And cyber defenders and threat hunters have to know how to configure and monitor security systems to identify signs of an attack or data breach. Your incident responders, your forensic investigators, and your malware analysts have to work with complex tools to dissect the what and how of a cyber incident. And then your cyber operators have to be able to perform monitoring and surveillance activities without alerting anyone to their presence. Now, while these careers do require a great deal of technical knowledge, they all require the competence to apply skills and abilities. And that competency comes from practice and repetition. Practicing cyber tasks and building the required skills and abilities comes from participating in hands-on activities. And these activities need to be based on reality and mirror the types of activities of a real-world cyber professional. Now, modeling and simulation of cyber threats focuses on doing just that. And just as military leaders perform exercises with their troops to simulate real-world encounters, and just as sports teams hold scrimmages to prepare specifically for their next opponent, modeling and simulation of cyber threats allows cyber professionals to prepare for real-world situations that they may encounter. So hopefully, why you would model and simulate threats is apparent. Training against hypothetical attacks has some value, especially for dealing with the unexpected and to enhance critical thinking, but mostly you need to be prepared for what you are most likely to encounter. Training against obsolete attacks could lead a new cyber professional to spend time looking for and defending against unrealistic threats.
Okay.
There's definitely knowledge to be gained from the attacks of the past, but proficiency against current threats is gained by focusing on current and emerging threats. Furthermore, different adversaries attack different organizations with different motivations and different tactics. So if you know who the enemy is, train to engage with that enemy, not some generic threat. So what's the state of the practice? You know, how do most people go about doing this right now? And I hate to say that even with my time working with the DoD, a lot of the training exercises that are conducted are done using kind of canned tools and distributions. So while it hopefully makes sense at this point that you should train against realistic threats, that's easier said than done. A great deal of threat intelligence data is required to design and develop hands-on training activities that mirror the actions of the real threat actors. The dominant approach to providing hands-on training activities leverages tools used by white hat hackers and penetration testers. Two examples of such tools are Metasploit and Kali Linux. Now, these are tremendously useful tools, and they allow skilled users to develop complex and sophisticated scenarios for hands-on keyboard training. However, without the threat intelligence data and the understanding of the adversary's motivations and tactics, it's possible for unrealistic scenarios to be developed. They can still be clever and intellectually challenging, though.
So I wanted to know about that. And sorry to interrupt your presentation, but can that be automated?
So that's what I'm going for here, and that's the purpose of the talk is how can you automate this? How can you bring together the threat intelligence to tell a story that's realistic, practical, and applicable to a target organization, and then turn that story into a script, and then that script becomes an automatable attribute of your story. And then it becomes sort of a DevOps project after that, is how you perform the automation.
Okay, but wouldn't you already know the attacks? I mean, if you're using Metasploit, if you can automate, you can get everything that Metasploit can do, or
So
Kali Linux.
Yeah, so that, and I must have not made my point clear. I was trying to explain the state of the practice. Metasploit and Kali Linux are how things are done now. Those are the tools that people use. Yes. And they use them because they are convenient. You can run lots of different types of scenarios through them, and they're great tools, and they can be used to come up with challenging problems to solve. Okay. But what I'm trying to add as a secret sauce is actual threat intelligence data about real world adversaries, the actual TTPs of the real world adversary, and make this scenario fit the types of things that the individual who's being trained is likely to see. So if you're defending a military base overseas, and you know that there are certain adversaries in that region and they launch certain types of attacks against bases, then you're going to put up the fortifications and defenses that repel the types of attacks that come at you from that specific adversary. You wouldn't want to spend a lot of time training against somebody else who's not going to attack you, who's not in that area to begin with. Okay. And so my goal here is to go beyond Metasploit and Kali and to train how you fight, to actually use that threat intelligence to get people more hands-on exposure to dealing or responding to incidents, or doing digital forensics or incident response after the fact, and the types of things that they would be looking for based on who the adversary is and what their motivations are. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go to the use slideshow button if you like there. I think it's up at the top. Do you see it on your screen?
Did my slide go away?
No, it didn't go away, but I think you're in there. Now the slide is.
And so now I don't know what I'm seeing. I've got pictures of people off to the side.
Pictures of people.
Do you see the
I
see anything on top of the slide?
No, I don't. We just see the slide.
Okay.
Okay.
So the slide is now full screen and there's nothing obscuring.
Exactly. Okay. There's nothing else there.
So the problem is I no longer can see my script of what I was going to say.
Oh.
Because I was in presentation mode.
Okay. So we could change it back if you prefer.
How do I get out of that?
Oh, okay. Bottom left-hand side, there's some buttons, or press escape on that screen. Yeah, there.
Okay, so now I was
there.
So are you seeing?
We do see the next slide as well.
Okay, so it's sharing the wrong screen. Let me see if I can fix that. Swap displays. Let me stop share. And then let me try to restart sharing.
Yes, you need to swap that's the correct button.
Okay, so
that's what you need to do.
Share screen. Is that better?
That is perfect.
Okay,
thank you.
My apologies. Sorry, I was talking too fast and too furious to let you interrupt. Sorry for that.
Good.
So let me go back. So to keep things a little bit lighthearted and playful here, Mad Libs are an easy way to go about telling a story. You simply provide a list of things that fill in the blanks of your story. Granted, Mad Libs are meant to be humorous and ridiculous, but if you add some context to the objects you use to fill in the blanks, you can come up with a story that makes sense as opposed to one that is utterly absurd. And so this is kind of a high-level simplified view of the approach to telling a cyber threat mission story. So a cyber Mad Lib, looking kind of similar, this slide attempts to show a portion of what a cyber mission Mad Lib might look like. The various blanks in this Mad Lib have an object type beneath them. In order to tell your cyber threat mission story, you choose an antagonist, which would be the adversary, the type of story, or the type of mission that they're going to conduct. The protagonist then chooses a target organization. Then they proceed to describe the events of the story or the mission stages and the effects the sequence and timing of those events has on the environment where the story unfolds. And so in order to start filling in your story, you need a list to choose from: your adversary types, mission types, etc., and targets. So adversary types, choosing the adversary helps you understand the motivation. Certain types of adversaries are going to be more or less likely to attack certain types of targets. The type of mission that will be conducted against the target will also be driven by the type of adversary and their motivation. For example, a profit-motivated cyber criminal is likely to target an organization or individual that has money and engage in activities to get that money. That type of adversary is unlikely to engage in politically or ideologically motivated disinformation campaigns. Threat intelligence data sometimes attributes attacks to known threat actors or threat groups. And when this type of information is available, the selection of a specific adversary can also help identify actual tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTPs, that adversary is known to employ. And choosing a mission type is the next major decision in the story. In fact, the order of selection of adversary and mission type can influence the other. Choosing the mission type first may limit the reasonable selection of adversaries. Choosing the adversary first will limit the types of missions that make sense. These are the two biggest decisions in the design of your cyber threat mission story. Now, there are a number of sources of what is referred to as open source threat intelligence. And one good example is the Open Threat Exchange, or OTX, community. Individuals can subscribe to a free account and monitor threat pulses that get released that describe current real-world cyber threats. In some cases, these pulses identify the adversary group, their target, and any specific indicators of compromise associated with the attack. Sometimes these get mapped directly to the MITRE attack matrix IDs, and the MITRE attack matrix is a source for adversary TTPs that can be used in your story. Threat intelligence feeds are a great source for inspiration for developing your cyber threat mission story and keeping it rooted in the real world. So now that we've created this cyber threat Mad Lib, the process to follow to turn that into a cyber threat mission model and subsequently simulate that model in a training environment is how we'll conclude this topic. So if we did a good job completing the cyber Mad Lib, we will have chosen a realistic combination of adversary type and mission type. Furthermore, the target of the threat mission should align with the adversary's motivations. From there, the rest of the story is a sequence of events that occur in a specific order with some timing constraints among the stages of the mission. Each event should tie to a realistic TTP from the adversary, an affected resource in the target environment, and where available, any IOCs that would be visible as a result. Note that visible is not the same thing as detected. Some IOCs are too subtle and will yield far too many false positives if we alerted on them individually. It's a rather straightforward process to take the completed cyber Mad Lib and translate it into a machinable representation, such as the example JavaScript object notation above and to the right. This abbreviated notation example shows how the mission stages can be encoded to have a sequence, a duration, and a list of observable effects that get mapped to resources in the target environment. Now, the full JSON is much longer than this and goes into a lot more details, but this just kind of shows you how you can start to encode some of that mission model into something that a computer program can ingest.
Yeah.
Now, Lockheed Martin defined the cyber kill chain, which standardizes cyber threat mission stages. And these stages include reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and finally, actions on objectives. And these stages occur in that order, but multiple events can occur during each stage. In a realistic cyber threat mission model, the events that happen in each stage are consistent with the adversary type, motivation, mission type, and target. Simulating a cyber threat mission model can thus be performed in stages. Each stage's events are simulated in order, adhering to timing constraints. So as not to actually have negative impacts on real-world systems, simulation environments are constructed. Most often, these simulation environments are constructed using virtual machines and virtual networks. These environments can be hosted locally via VMware Workstation or VirtualBox. They can be hosted on a remote server using Xen or VMware ESXi, or they can be hosted in the cloud via Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure.
Wow.
Now, I'm not going to read all of this detail, but this is kind of the workflow model of how a person would go about producing a simulation environment, selecting a mission model, and then validating that mission model and its parameters, eventually generating an automated script, which can be given a start time and end time and run through the automation process beginning to end.
Okay.
And again, this is very detailed, but what I've just described to you is actually a funded, sponsored research project that I'm working on in combination with Microsoft and MXD, which is a consortium of manufacturing industrial base companies who are trying to do supply chain defense and protect our manufacturing and critical infrastructure systems from interference and cyber attacks. And so they're sponsoring the creation of this full system, which is going to have a graphical user interface for putting together your story. And the secret sauce behind the thing is that with all the threat intelligence feeds, the TTPs, indicators of compromise, even access to vulnerability databases like CVEs and CWEs, and virus data like from VirusTotal, and maybe with some help from Trend Micro, some intelligence there, it will guide people in modeling their actual environment and then recommending to them based on the assets in their environment, the types of adversaries they might be encountering, the types of tactics they may use, even in a completely sandboxed environment, malware that may be launched against them using the actual malware samples in the training environment.
Yes. Wow.
And to kind of wrap things up, as I know I'm getting close to the end of my time, the real secret sauce here of simulating the cyber threat mission model is related to simulation of mission stages one at a time and the snapshot feature of virtual environments. Similar to the choose your own adventure novels, where the reader gets to a point in the story where they must make a decision as to what's going to happen next. The snapshots allow the direction of the cyber threat mission story to be changed as it unfolds. So at the end of each mission stage, the entire environment has snapshots taken. So you complete reconnaissance, weaponization, et cetera. Snapshots of the entire environment get created. Much like the choose your own adventure novel, if the reader decides after making a decision that the story isn't going the way they want, they return to the page where they made the bad choice and they change their mind. So reverting to a snapshot allows the person running the simulation to change their mind and request a do-over. For example, if simulating a stage in the mission model is successful against a target, then you could rerun that stage. The environment gets reverted to the snapshot, but before running the stage again, perhaps firewall rules are changed or new security product is installed, then that stage can be simulated again, this time in a modified environment, and then compare the effects and the changes that occurred to see if that change to your defensive posture has an impact on the mission.
Yes.
And that should be that.
Wow. Wow. This is really, really fascinating. I know, let me quickly look are there any questions? And like I told Lydia and Alan before you, we're gonna have to leave the questions for our app, okay? I know I have questions that I would love to see if there's some demo environments or something that you can share with students where they can start playing with that, because those simulations, I think they're, you know, transportable. You can do those events. So how do we get involved, I guess, is the only question that will allow. How can we get involved?
So good question. This project is just about to get off the ground. I mean, we know it's all doable because I've implemented portions of it already. Microsoft is kindly partnered with us, and so we're going to take advantage of the Azure platform to get it up in the cloud. And so maybe in early prototyping stages, because it's in the cloud, we may be able to grant some early access to it. Okay. And you were spot on that. One of the key ideas is the shareability and reusability. So if you come up with a great training exercise, then you can encapsulate that in its Mad Lib storytelling, hand it over to somebody else, and it goes through a validation to make sure the right resources are available to run the mission, and then you can share these training exercises.
Wow, wow, that's fascinating. Then thank you, Gregory. And the next speaker that we have is Dr. Shulchek from FIU. And I know that he has some projects that probably plug into what is being done in West Florida. Professor Shulchek, we welcome you tonight to this event. I noticed that you're still muted. So here we go. I'm happy to have you. I'm happy that you're supporting this event, and I'm happy for the relationship that we have with your university. Please go ahead. The time is yours.
Thank you, Alvin, and thank you, Trend Micro. So let me share my screen. Hold on, and
and I see a nice comment there. FIU Panthers pride. Wow.
Screen sharing has failed to start. Please try again later, it says.
Oh no.
Let's see. Wait, what's happening? I'm sure it's gonna work out. Let's see.
Let me see. Okay. There it is.
Okay, perfect. So let's sort this out here, and let me hide floating panels. So thank you, Alvin, and thanks for the invitation, and thanks for really for all the participants, attendees, and it's after work hours, and it really shows a great commitment from all of our students, and also for Trend Micro for the invitation. So I'm really happy to be here. The goal of my presentation is to give you some ideas about understanding the IoT trend landscape and some of the FIU cybersecurity projects on IoT. Some of my students had exclusive access to this content before. I'm sure other participants will enjoy this as well. So so first I will introduce you our lab and what we are doing, and then I'll be starting talking about different projects. Some of them will involve securing sensor channel sensor based attacks, variable assisted continuous authentication, detecting compromised devices, and so on. And finally, I'm going to conclude to talk. So first of all, some information about me. I joined FIU about 6 years ago from Georgia Tech, where I was research faculty, and before that I was a senior research engineer at Symantec. Um, when I joined FIU, I founded the Cyber Physical System Security Lab. Now we have grown really fast over the years. We have 1 postdoc, 5 PhD students, 3 masters, and we are really I'm thankful to my students, and we are doing great research. Um, um, not only at FIU, but globally, we are doing and addressing some of the really important problems in the cybersecurity domain. Um, so we've been blessed. We have been recognized by the industry and government. We have several grants over the years from different institutions, including National Science Foundation, U.S. Air Force, Department of Energy, Cisco, Cyber Florida, Department of Labor, and Trend Micro as well. We always appreciate their support. So we work in the security and privacy, and our approach is hands-on and real devices and applications. Our current focus is on Internet of Things and cyber physical systems. This is a very crowded slide, but we really, literally have, at least 1 paper or more on any of these topics that you see on this slide. HoneyNet, security visualization, security education, smart city security, network monitoring, you name it. And some of these I'll be sharing with you at this, today. As I said, we've been doing really great things. We have global partners, actually, Cyber Physical System Security Lab at FIU. I'd like to acknowledge again Trend Micro, and they have, over the years supported our initiatives, and which I'm going to mention toward the end, how they were generously supporting our initiatives. We have collaborators from Italy, collaborators from, the US, top institutions, our collaborators, and we are working hand in hand to solve some of the most pressing problems in cyberspace. So let's focus on today's talk. I'm sure you may have heard of a lot of recent media buzz about the IoT devices. My focus will be more on IoT devices that we use in our smart homes. Okay, so so what are the threats? Let me summarize first. What are the issues, right? What are the threats that we see? Devices that we are using in a smart home, in IoT space, are predictable in their activities. I'm going to show you some, studies related to that, how we can actually identify the activities of some of the devices that we use in our smart homes. Even if the traffic is encrypted, it's very trivial to identify what the devices are doing. Sensors on board the devices, accelerometer and gyroscope, for example, they could be easily hacked, and they have not been traditionally thought of as a threat, as a threat vector. Alternative authentication mechanisms are needed. It's not only passwords, so we need to be able to use other authenticators beyond the traditional SMS authenticator. Compromised devices can infiltrate the supply chain or important networks, our homes, offices, and manufacturing plants, smart cities, and I'm going to show you some examples related to that. In the IoT domain, sensitive information is leaked from our devices that we use at home and to third parties, and I'm going to show you some examples how that is happening. Okay, so all of these threats and all of these claims are backed by our research, and we have multiple devices, multiple users, but we have simple security solutions. You have a smart coffee maker, you have a smart plug, you have a smart thermostat, but the ecosystem comes with multiple users, but we cannot share these devices when multiple users actually exist. So, and then finally, I'm going to talk about some complementary security and understanding complementary security measures like fingerprinting. So, let me talk to you about the first study as an example study. So this study involves understanding the sensors and how they behave on the smart devices in our smart homes and in our IoT devices. This has been a project funded by National Science Foundation, and it was also presented at Usenix 2017. So as you see, in today's world, all of these devices, different devices and applications, our smart home, our medical facilities, cities, drones, etc., our smartwatch, they all come with different sensors. It's hard to find any device today, any IoT device with only one sensor. So they come with multiple sensors. So the one problem is that these sensors have not been originally thought of as a threat vector, but they could be, used as a threat vector. So they could be hacked. So this study involves that. Okay. Why is this happening? When you look at the ecosystem of the smart devices, this one is particularly right now focusing on Samsung SmartThings and also Android, Android devices. But the Apple and BlackBerry devices, they are all the same. So only permissions are enforced in selective sensors. The other sensors are not actually considered as a as part of the permission when you install an app. For example, you install an app, the app asks you, hey, I want to use this camera, I want to use this microphone, blah, blah, blah. But, other like accelerometer, light sensor, etc., they're not, explicitly asked for permission. They are automatically included in the permission chain. So there is no user control. There is no subsequent knowledge about how the sensors are used. So in this study, we focused on this, and then we have shown for the first time that devices could be hacked going through the sensors. So then we created a framework to solve these problems. Our framework had three pieces: the data collection, data processing, and data analysis. What we uniquely looked at in our solution, we looked at understanding the context of the events, context of the actions of the users. So for example, you start walking here and you start talking, and then we looked at what sensors are being used when you start walking, when you start talking, etc. So we analyzed what sensors should be running per action, per behavior. Then we try to find with our machine learning, algorithms, what if a sensor is not supposed to be running, but it's running, then we classify that as a potential problem. So we implemented our solution in smartwatch and smartphone as a proof of concept. Our performance overhead is very promising, and CPU disk utilization, power consumption, the memory consumption, they are all very low and minimal. And on this figure, you also see the comparison of different detection techniques, like the ROC curves and PRC curves, and accuracy, F-score, false positive rates with respect to the different machine learning algorithms. As you see, Markov chain is one of the tools gave us the best results compared to the others. So we we have a project website related to this, and but you can get more information about this from this link as well. You could see our demo application, how a person sitting next to you could be hacking by just flashlighting a light to your phone on this one. The second example work that I wanted to mention is privacy-aware wearable assets continuous authentication. This was also a funded project by U.S. National Science Foundation. So as we know, the traditional authentication, the password is not enough because people share the passwords of family members, 76%, coworkers 22%, people reuse it, and 25% of all the security incidents involve insiders. People leave their computers unlocked, intentionally or unintentionally. In a multi-factor or two-factor authentication, a user is verified from two separate resources, but it is only partial solution. Why? Because once a person is authenticated, after you pass that authentication initial, anyone can use it forever. You can use your friend's computer when that friend or colleague is actually first, initially passes that the first authentication. So the solution is continuous authentication. What you do, you check the authorized user periodically throughout the session, but traditional methods are either not robust or not usable. So what we did, we used variables to identify the users. We call it sensor-based keystroke dynamics. We identify the authorized user from its typing style. So you see here in our lab, we have the variable, smartwatch here. While you type, we can identify what you are and how you are typing your pattern by using the accelerometer and gyroscope of the smartwatch. So why should this work? We did an initial simple experiments. Here is the accelerometer data. Here is the gyroscope data. Here's the same text, user 1, user 2. As you see, it's different users while typing the same text. Here, same user over different time intervals. It's only a shifted, value over time. So it's a predictable pattern per user. So considering this, we designed a variable assisted continuous authentication. It's a complete authentication protocol. We collect accelerometer and gyroscope data. These are X, Y, Z, okay? And we collect 84 features like the mean, median, variance, average, absolute difference of peaks, covariance, etc. So many, features. Then we use this and put this into our framework and profile the users and then feed it into our authentication system. Then we analyzed using the same text and then the free text, and we looked at the error rates, equal error rate according to the different sample sizes using different distance metrics while users are performing typing task 1 and while users are performing another task, which is free task. As you see, our error rates are very low and it doesn't require a lot of samples. These samples last about 10-15 seconds. So we have 1% error rate and for 25 seconds, 2 or 3% error rate for 20 seconds, and we have 99% identification rate. So this basically work is good against and robust against imitation attacks, statistical attacks, and insider threats. So we also focused on privacy aspect of this. So what we did, we also extended our work because we're collecting sensitive sensory information from the users. So we looked at how we can actually make our product much better by adding the privacy on top of it. So we're using fluid homomorphic encryption and noise tolerant template security. These are some of the newest cryptographic constructs that allow preserving the privacy of the collected data. So we also filed a new patent based on this work, and then one of our works are under right now review on a top cybersecurity journal. Finally, our success is that we recently licensed this to a company. A company is trying to build a prototype based on our research. As I mentioned, compromised devices are a big problem. This was a project funded by Department of Energy, US Department of Energy. So the energy grid, the smart grid as we call it, includes a lot of devices. And today they include a lot of IoT devices, smart devices, etc. And they're utilized, as part of the smart city. So the problem is that a compromised device here in this in this domain can leak valuable smart grid information. They can store and information in hidden files, and they can be recovered later by an attacker. They can generate fake data that can be used to poison real status of the smart grid. We call this poisoning real measurements. So these are the different problems that a compromised device can do. So what we did, we challenged ourselves to solve this problem. And again, we created a framework where we collect the system call traces from the operating system. And then we process that information. And then we decide whether the device is compromised or not with respect to the ground truth device. So our results are really good. Okay, we were able to, this is ptrace and this is library interposition technique. Our results are really good. We are able to identify devices that are basically compromised easily with our technique. So these are our accuracy, recall, and different metrics. And then as you see in this one, our system is really minimal in terms of overhead on the devices. So Alvin,
Yes.
I know that I have to end at 8:10, so it's about 8:05. So how are we on timing?
Yes. We're right on timing. We got 4 more minutes. I don't know if you want to open it for questions.
Okay, I can quickly skim through and fast, show some of the important, some more slides.
Okay.
Let me do it that way, like maybe another 2 minutes, and then we can open for questions.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to speed up, guys. Sorry about that. I need to, we need to finish it. Considering the time. So fingerprinting, what we do in the fingerprinting, we're trying to identify devices based on their leaked information. Why is this important? Because you can have a credential that is actually downloaded to a computer, authenticated, but then you can take that credential and then pass that to another device, and that other device can be authenticated in the network. So in order to prevent this, we also incorporate the identity, the question, basically the of the device that are used in the authentication. So for that, we use fingerprinting, and again, we use machine learning on top of this, and here's the algorithm and different algorithms that we are running, and different test beds utilizing smartwatch, smartphone, smart tablet, and then we have really promising results to identify devices. So one of the recent works that we did, which was also published in Usenix in 2018, sensitive information tracking for IoT applications. The problem is that most programming platforms are open to anyone. Tools for evaluating IoT apps are largely non-existent. There are so many programming languages, compilers, applications. However, this is a simple Samsung SmartThings app. This app leaks a lot of information to third parties. Nobody has analyzed this systematically and in a comprehensive fashion. What we did, we created a tool that we call Saint, which was a static analysis tool to analyze the code, where you could actually copy and paste your application's code, and we could analyze the how the app is leaking sensitive information or not. Okay, then we created the dynamic version of this. In fact, one of our speakers tomorrow, Dr. Leonardo Bobun, is the creator of these two tools, the Saint and IoT Watch. So we also do it in a dynamic analysis fashion. When the programs are running, we actually are able to catch if the application is leaking any information to third parties or not. And this is also presented at one of the top cybersecurity conferences in our field. I don't want to get into the details of the details. Let me, go fast. We are basically utilizing, again, machine learning algorithms. So we are able to identify how devices are leaking date, time, device information, location, user behavior on the most popular apps in the market in the smart home domain. And our results are really, as you see, are very high. Okay, so
Excellent.
let me, other recent work. This was published in ACM Wireless Security Conference in 2020. So we are the first groups in the world to understand how devices, when you look at it smart home, you have a Wi-Fi network, Zigbee network, or Bluetooth, or Z-Wave, different protocols. Even if the devices are encrypting their traffic, we had 22 different devices, okay? We have smart locks, we have sensors, motion sensors, you name it. You could understand what the device was doing. Here, for example, you look at the Samsung SmartThings outlet, here August Smart Lock, you can understand when the device is locked, when the device is unlocked, and we published our results, and we were able to identify clearly these different events. And I'm noting this, even if the devices are encrypting their traffic, we were able to understand these. And in the same conference, we also published another novel work, which we are collaborating with Northeastern University. We have traditionally single device use, and it's used by single user. But in our smart homes, in the IoT, we have multiple devices and multiple users. However, this single trusted user accessing device, no access or limited access for guest users, only one user, only one device at once. However, when we look at this ecosystem, multiple users sharing multiple devices, access needed for guests, for Airbnb customers, for example, or temporary users, multiple users are accessing at once, diverse and conflicted tastes. For example, I want to change the smart thermostats, let's say temperature to 78, and then your guest might be changing it to 73, the AC. Privacy violations could be occurring. Smart lock may be needed to be locked at a certain time, but needs to be opened by the guest, etc. So there are so many access control problems. When we look at the ecosystem, there's binary access control, impulsive command execution. If you add someone to control the device, that person can add another person easily. So there are so many problems, simple problems. So what we did, we designed something called Kratos, a framework to solve all these problems on dynamically. Okay, so we have the priorities, conflicts, etc. So we are solving all these problems nicely. Okay, and we created, again, this is also designed by Dr. Baboon. You will listen to him tomorrow. We created a digital forensics capability for the IoT devices. We call this IoT dots. And here are results and accuracy. These are, very, very good results. And we created ages. Okay, this is for smart home context aware. And we looked at, as the last, devices on their HDMI channels, how the devices could be hacked going through the HDMI channels. And again, we are the first one to look at it. And finally, we are having our new IoT Security Lab FIU. So for our students, this is our environment that, even in pandemic, some of our students are able to go. And finally, with the support of Trend Micro, which we appreciate greatly, we created a FIU, IoT HoneyNet with 3 different segments. And this is in production. It's working with devices from, basically Trend Micro. We are able to collect the malicious campaigns in the world and analyze it. We thanked Trend Micro for this as well. Anyway, I'm gonna end here and open a stage for questions.
So we have Jonathan that has joined us, and the questions, I'll read them to you, but maybe we could answer them because one of them is the panelists, we can answer them. One of them is saying, how do we join the security lab? Okay. The other one, how can we reach you, Dr. Solchek? So if you have access to those questions, we can get them to you. I need to start with Jonathan Javier, that we see him on the screen already, and Professor Solchek. We need to do this more often, because there's some amazing projects that you're doing, and I think other universities can learn a lot about IoT with that. So please answer those questions offline.
Yes. So, okay, I will do that. Here's my contact information, and anyone who can Google my name, you would be able to find my information, but it's on this slide. And thank you again, Alvin. And yeah, you please email me and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And thank you for the great comment, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, we have Jonathan Javier, and I know we should have planned for a lot more time, because these speakers are really sharing a lot of information, and we're having to cut them off, you know, and we're not leaving you for questions. But Jonathan Javier has an amazing story. He helps young students break into large corporations, and I love his spirit, his energy. So help me welcome him over here, and Jonathan, please go ahead. Tell us your story.
Yes, Ellen, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Everybody, what is up? What's up? Where's everybody tuning in from? Let me go in the chat. Put in the chat where everybody's tuned in from. Let me see it. Let me see it. Where's everybody at? What location? What city? What state? Let me know in the chat real quick. Dang, 6 people fell off right when I was talking. They were like, oh, this guy's talking. He has too much energy. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna bring the energy up, everybody. Let's do it.
No, they don't know what they're missing if they're leaving. They don't know what is in store for them.
No worries. No worries. Okay, it looks like everybody's at Florida. Okay, Florida. Nice. Toronto.
San Jose.
All right. Perfect. Okay, San Jose. I was just in San Jose. I just left San Jose. I went to LA. But here, I'll actually share my screen. Is that cool?
Yes,
Let me
please.
share my screen real quick. I want to give you all some good words of wisdom. I know you all are trying to break into your careers. I hope you are, because this is the exact place to be, and it's going to be good. Okay. Let me share my screen. Do y'all see my screen by any chance?
Yes, we
do.
do.
You see that one?
We can see it. Awesome.
Awesome, everybody. First off, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I know it's 8 p.m. Pacific time, or it was at 8 p.m. Eastern time where y'all are at, right?
Yes, most
of them, right? So, but quick background about me. So my name is Jonathan Javier. I graduated from University of California, Riverside, class of 2017, so not too long ago. But yeah, everybody, who here is interested in getting to their career? Is anybody here? If you are, put me in the chat. Who here is interested in getting into their career? A lot of you, maybe. Yes, no, maybe so. Maybe in cybersecurity. All right. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. So I still remember, everybody, I was about to graduate from UC Riverside, and I have a job lined up. And I remember applying to hundreds of different roles, expecting responses back from companies, hundreds of them, because I sent out hundreds of applications, when in fact, I never received responses back from any. Who here has felt that way in their job search? Who here has applied to different companies and never heard back from them? If you have, put a sad face into the chat. Let's see it. Who here has felt that way? Still a freshman? Totally fine, Thomas. Who here has felt that way in their job search? Some of you? Okay. Let's turn those frowns upside down, everybody. So by actually utilizing LinkedIn, I was actually able to land my first job at Snapchat. So I worked at Snapchat specifically in product operations. Who here is Snapchat? All of you, right? So I was only at Snapchat for 6 months, right? Only 6 months, everybody. Unfortunately, our team got outsourced, but by using LinkedIn again, I was actually able to land at Google. So I worked at Google specifically in strategy and operations for our sales teams, specifically for ads. and then started Consulting, which mission is to turn underdogs into winners. So helping those who come from non-traditional backgrounds, and then help you all get into your dream careers. So far I've done over 160 of these in the past 2 years. I know I don't have a life. No, I'm kidding, I do. But I've done over 160 of these in the past 2 years, and I love doing it, to say the least. And then last but not least, I worked at Cisco specifically in sales strategy and operations for our go-to-market. Sorry, it's my calendar. But everybody, if I told y'all that I actually never applied to any of these at Snapchat, Google, and Cisco, would you believe me? Yes or no? Oh, hey, Steffi. Would you believe me if I said that I never applied to any of these different companies? Would you believe me? Yes or no? Put in the chat. Would y'all believe me? No? No? Probably not, right? You think I'm crazy. Well, the thing is, I'm going to show you that I'm not crazy. And I'm going to show you all exactly how I did it and how you can do it too. Okay? Cool? Are y'all excited? If y'all are excited, put a heck yeah in the chat. Let's put a heck yeah in the chat. Let's see it. Let's see the energy, everybody. Let's see it. Heck yeah. Okay, cool. Oh no, that's a really big caps. Yeah, I love it. Awesome. And last but not least, I did my first TEDx talk about a few months ago, and I'm in the final round for Forbes 30 under 30. So wish me luck. I might be getting it. I don't know. I got a call last week saying I'm in the final round, so maybe I'll be there.
Awesome.
We'll see what happens. Cool. All right, everybody. It's gonna be clear, quick, and concise, but I'm gonna help you all get into your careers. Okay. So I'm gonna do one topic today specifically. How do you find these different jobs? And let's just get into it right now. Everybody, what is this right here? Can someone tell me what this is? What is this? Put in the chat. Has anybody ever seen this before? What is this on LinkedIn? What is this? Does anybody know? LinkedIn jobs page, right? Who here has actually applied to one of these jobs right here and heard back? Has anybody ever applied to one of these? Now I was laughing because it's like, oh man, right? So everybody, I still remember, you all see that easy apply button right here where it says Chronicle Books? It only takes you like 30 seconds, right? So I still remember, everybody, I was putting in my email address, my phone number. It said review your application. I was like, all right, this took me like a minute to do. It's perfect, right? I'd submit my application. I'd literally wait a few days. I'd be like SpongeBob here, extremely excited and happy, right? When in fact, I'd wait several days and all I would receive is rejection letters in the mail. And I feel like SpongeBob like this. Who here's felt like SpongeBob? They're heartbroken. If you do, put a heart into the chat if you felt like this, so we can mend this SpongeBob's heart. Who here's felt like SpongeBob right here? Has anybody had their hearts broken from these different companies that they've applied to? Yeah, there you go. There's one heart. That's all I need. Okay. All right. Perfect. So my question to y'all is this: how do you find a job during these times, though? Can someone tell me, how do you find a job during these times? Bribe, you're right. Bribe me. Give me $1 million. I'll give you a job. Okay. Mass apply until someone answers, Thomas. True. DoorDash, Gregory. I should order some DoorDash right after this. I should. So I'm pretty hungry, but no. It's obviously Netflix, right? Watching Netflix. It's obvious. Everybody, give me some Netflix recommendations right now. What are some good Netflix shows to watch? Do not say Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is the best, worst show I've ever seen. Do not say Good Life. I've already finished it. What do we got? Tehran. I don't know what show that is, but maybe I'll go check it out. All right. The Witcher. All right, Ali. Okay. I usually get someone who says BoJack Horseman, but thankfully no one said that. Anyways, it's LinkedIn, right? Obviously it's using LinkedIn. So who here uses LinkedIn actively? Meaning they post content, they interact with people's content, they comment, etc. versus passively, meaning they just message people. What are you, active or passive? Passive. Okay. Active. All right, Valentina. Nice. Okay, cool. Let's change that passive into active. Okay. So I got 3 jobs right here. Marketing coordinator, whatever, Google, Facebook, ServiceNow. No one ever picked ServiceNow. But what company are y'all interested in? Google, Facebook, or ServiceNow? Which one are y'all most interested in? Google? Okay, I got one Google. Anybody else? Google? Okay. All right. Cool. It's always Google. So let's do it. All right. Let me exit out real quick. I'm going to go over here. Let me go to my home page. Cool. Everybody, what do you usually do on LinkedIn to find people? You probably just go randomly connect with them, right? That's what most people do, which is cool, correct? So most people will do this. They'll go like this, they'll go search it, whatever, and you'll search Google. And then you'll go to whatever and go to people. Who are all these people right here? Google employees, correct?
Employees.
Exactly. And that's how you find all the Google employees. No, I'm kidding. If y'all believe me, I wouldn't. I would say that y'all would think I'm crazy, right? So what you actually have to do is literally this. You see right here? Let's go here, marketing coordinator. Cool, right? So most people will do this and they'll go find everybody who's a marketing coordinator at Google, correct? What you actually have to do is this. So you go right here, you see where it says content, you click that, you go to the top, you see the top where it says filters, type in Google. Who is this person right here? Who is this person dumped in the bath?
He's the marketing guy.
Yeah, it's a marketing guy. What's even crazier, everybody? This is the hiring manager for the marketing coordinator position at Google. How do I know that? Because he literally says, I'm looking for candidates for the marketing coordinator at Google. How long did that take me to find the hiring manager for the marketing coordinator role at Google? How long did that take me? 12 seconds. No worry, you were counting on your phone or something. Nice. But it took me a few seconds, everybody. Why would I ever apply to the role and I'd spend 8 hours in a day to go apply to it when I can reach out directly to the hiring manager who literally has a post in regards to what he's hiring for, and it's the exact position I want to go for. What happens is this: the system doesn't teach you this, but the system tells you the more jobs you apply to, the more chances you get, which is totally true. But the time that you use specifically on those jobs that you're applying to takes way too long. Would you rather spend 8 hours in a day applying to jobs, or would you rather take 30 minutes doing so, right? So this is why I'm teaching you this, because you can do this for actually any position. All you got to do is search the company, the position, and then you filter the content. Good question, Thomas. I'm about to go over that in a second, but check this out. Let's just say software engineer, Facebook, right? Cool. Now you get to find everybody who's at Facebook, right? See all these people? Literally all these people are at Facebook, correct? And you go here, and let's just say you're going for interns. Who's this person right here? Cecil Johnson. Who is this?
Oh,
He's literally the recruiter. Exactly. He's the recruiter. Took me about 10 seconds to find everybody. So why I'm teaching you this is because it is so simple to find the recruiters and hiring managers for your roles. This is exactly what you do. And if they've posted about the position, you can find them just like that. And what I used to do all the time is I'd go to that LinkedIn jobs, I copy the position, I go search it, and I do this exactly, and I go find all the hiring managers. And that is exactly how I never applied to any of the roles. I literally just did this. And that's how you all can do that exactly. Cool. Any questions on that? No? Cool. Okay. Awesome. Pretty cool, huh? Why I'm teaching all this is because it's so simple to do, okay? And that's why I want to make sure your lives are way easier, because I think a lot of people just spend way too much time in the job process, right? So let's just say I have this position in ServiceNow. What stands out about this? Can someone tell me what stands out about these roles? What stands out? Anything even stand out? I don't know, maybe so. Think stands out about this? It's all for one company. Yeah, Thomas, no worries, and there's no bad guesses here. Everybody, they had no likes. What happens is this: nobody knows about this, so don't tell anybody, okay? But look at this. No one even liked the post. Not because they don't like them, but because they don't even know that they're hiring for roles. Imagine you being that one person who reaches out to Harriet, Daniel, Dean. Imagine you being that one person who reaches out. And so let's just go to Daniel's profile. What stands out about Daniel's profile right here? Does anybody see anything that stands out? And there's no wrong guesses, by the way. You can always take a guess and let me know what you think. What stands out about his profile? Does anybody know? Yep, strategic program director. Nice, Thomas. Anyone else? What actually said, yep, he's been trying to hire a bunch. Exactly, Frank. You got that right, my man. He's hiring a bunch. So what's happening is this. He's not only hiring for the account executive position at ServiceNow, he's also hiring for other roles, specifically in regards to consulting, for transformation, for enablement operations. So the hiring manager is usually hiring for multiple roles, not just one. Okay, but let's go back to the question I think Thomas said, or I forgot where now, or said, how do you reach out to these people? And it's very simple. I'm going to give you a template right here, and you can literally take a picture of this if you want. All you got to do is this. You just say, hi, hope your day is well. You don't have to say your introduction, my name is. You can omit that, so I put in green. You can just say, I saw you're currently recruiting for, let's just say, for software engineers at Facebook. And then you talk a little about your experience and then say it'd be great to connect and learn more about this opportunity. Why do y'all think you should send a personalized invite like this? Why do y'all think you should? Stands out, exactly. You will be the one person who does it compared to everybody else. So that is why you do it. And I think I have like hundreds of people on my pending, and I haven't accepted them because no personalized invite. This is what helps you stand out, okay? And so if they add you on LinkedIn, which I hope they do, then you send them a message just like this. You give an introduction, you talk about how your skills fit the position, you talk about what you saw specifically with their content, and then you say, could I have a phone chat? May I be able to chat with you regarding this opportunity? Why do you think you should get on the phone? Why do you guys think you should get on the phone rather than do it through message? Why do you think? Better impression? Mm-hmm. Exactly. You get to know you better. Yep. What happens is this. You probably could not feel my passion in my voice if we were just messaging each other. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. The thing is, when you project your voice, and when anybody ever wants to speak with you for 15 to 30 minutes out of their day to take time to speak with you, that means something. That means that's basically an interview, right? That is exactly why you get on the phone. And if anybody wants to do that, that is basically an interview. Okay? Any questions on that?
So Jonathan, with this formula,
yeah,
and you're sharing it with the world, can you actually just pick the job that you want at whatever company, and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, you can, what I say all the time is should definitely utilize these strategies, because if you network with people, I think networking is extremely key rather than just simply applying all of it. Applying 20%, if you cannot get a referral for a role, just simply apply, which is totally fine. Networking is super key, especially coming from a non-traditional background or a non-target school, as I always say. It's always important to network, because the networking is what's going to get your foot in the door and get you the interview. Because a person would only know you from a piece of paper if you just send in an application.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, who here wants to grow their personal brand? Does anyone here want to grow their personal brand and get opportunities come to them? Who here wants that? Does anybody want that? If you don't, it's totally fine. Yes, no, maybe so. That'd be nice, right? So I have this challenge for you. Oops. My challenge to you is this. You all should make a LinkedIn post. You can tag me in it and just say, what's your story? Tag me in it, tag L1, tag people here, just tag me in L1, I don't know, whatever you want. The reason why I say this is because I have about 75,000 followers right now. Who's going to see your post?
75,000.
Exactly. The 75,000, maybe some of them are going to see it. And then what you do is you go add them on LinkedIn, because now my connections are going to you and you can connect with them. And that is exactly how you do it. So if you want, definitely make a LinkedIn post. I highly encourage it, because I have so many people who have done it and they've been able to get so many different likes and things like that. Russell was actually able to get an internship after connecting with one of my connections. Cassidy, actually, your first LinkedIn post had over 124, which is pretty good. It's pretty solid. And then Sabrina as well. Okay.
So we don't have to get a recommendation from you. We just have to like the stuff that you like and create our own content.
Yeah, you can create your own content, and if you want to start content, you can do takeaways in regards to this event, for example. Just don't tell them the strategies I said. Okay, just talk about your story. Right. So, like that's what I would say. Okay. Anyways, this is my this is my business partner Jerry. He's over here. He couldn't come today, but this is my LinkedIn. Definitely add me on LinkedIn. Send me an invite. I changed it to follow, so just send me a personalized invite, just saying you're from Trend Micro. And yeah, that's what I have today. And then I was gonna also say I just released a course yesterday. If anybody's interested, if anyone wants to get in their career, it's just at courses.onsulting.com. Definitely check it out. It's literally everything you need to get into the job search process. It's there. And it's 20% off. Use JWall20. So cool.
Wow, Jonathan, you're awesome, man.
Hey,
We really thank you for what you're doing, your time, and I know that our participants, this is a key, and go and follow Jonathan. He's constantly putting content out there, helping those that want to engage with him. And Jonathan, again, I really thank you for your time. Do we have some questions for him?
Yeah, I can answer some questions for a few minutes. Yeah, sorry, I know it's a quick presentation, but I wanted to be cognizant of time, of course. So.
Yes. Do we have questions for Jonathan? Any
questions? Anything? By the way, I put my thing in there, and I also put my LinkedIn. Sorry. Yeah. Any questions? I'm gonna stop actually presenting here. I'll stop sharing. But yeah, any questions, everybody? No questions.
Oh, there's some questions. I'm sorry. There's
Oh, go ahead and ask it to me.
No, Thomas. Thomas said he does have a question. Please, Thomas.
Thomas, go ahead. You've been answering a lot of them, so you've been very active, so.
Yeah.
Thomas, go ahead. Question.
Thomas, are you still with us? Yeah, there's no voice. You're going to have to type it.
He says, oh, here it is. He says, if you get a phone interview successfully, what does it look like if they move forward with offering you the position? Good question. So if you get a phone interview successfully and then they move forward with the offering you position, that's pretty awesome. First off. Secondly, if anybody ever wants to get on the phone with you, it is an interview. Always remember that. And third, how you crush your interviews is you, of course, answer about your experiences, but you just be human. And you always ask about the other person's story. I think the story part is extremely important. Okay, but if they offer you a position, I mean, definitely say that you're considering it. But always know that you should always negotiate your salary before you accept any offer. I always recommend that. Hopefully that answers your question, Thomas.
And do you have content on those skills?
Yes,
negotiating.
It's literally it's in the course too. Yeah, okay. I have content on that, but it's also in the course. I believe. Yeah, wow. Everything in there. Yeah, literally everything is in there.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to our next presentation. Jonathan, I hope that we get some traffic on your booth and send some of the guys your way. And I'm going to continue following you on LinkedIn. And again, I love the stuff that you're doing. Many of our participants, we need this kind of example of guys that have been successful. And your story is just amazing. I know you didn't go into your personal suffering, but we can follow you and hear that. that part of it.
Of course. Yeah, and if y'all got any questions, please, yeah, definitely please add me on LinkedIn. Always happy to help in any way. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right, y'all.
Thank you. Thank
Have
you.
a good one, everybody. See ya.
All right. Our next presenter is George Davis. He's a sales engineer, and he's going to talk to us about the cloud and the offerings that we have on Trend Micro's side, and again the importance of us studying and working in things that are relevant today, you know. So George, please go ahead.
Thanks, Alvin. I'll quickly share my screen. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Securing Cloud Native Applications. I'm George Davis, and I'm a sales engineer at Trend Micro Toronto. I've been a full stack engineer for the past 8 years with my expertise in DevOps and AWS. I'm also an AWS certified solutions architect. I want to start by asking how many of you are from an application security or application development background? Maybe if you guys can poll on the chat or raise your hand, any of that. Okay. Anyone specifically from a DevOps or an Ops background or interested in a DevOps or an Ops background? Okay. The reason I ask is the term cloud native is very interesting. It not only relates to application developers, but goes a couple of levels deeper into infrastructure or even DevOps process level. Cloud native applications are simply services or solutions that are designed and built on the cloud. They add value to your business by being highly available, and they're easy to scale in your environment. This allows for continuous deployments based on your business needs. The requirement to be cloud native can be broken into 3 levels, as I've done here. The first level being application design and deployment, the second infrastructure, and the third DevOps. So when we take cloud native solutions, it's required, it's in the name, right? It's required to natively use and leverage cloud services and capabilities such as auto scaling, reserved or spot instances, and so on, right? What cloud native applications does is it unlocks various different deployment strategies because they are very flexible and agile, and it allows your business to look into various deployment strategies. Let's say your business wants to test an offer or promotion or a certain feature with a subset of your customers, right? And that test would result in customer feedback, and then they can make a decision whether to go towards the feature or park that feature aside and address it at a later date, right? The other requirement when you look into cloud native is it's typically built on microservices. Microservices and containers. Today we're going to be focusing a lot on containers because microservices typically leads to a container architecture. Microservice architecture itself is pretty lightweight. It's designed to be flexible, and we primarily focus on a single task, let's say a shopping cart service or a payment service gateway or any other specific service for your order management solution, for instance, right? And by breaking down this business workflow into multiple smaller blocks, we can improve the speed as well as the scalability of that service. The more pieces of that service there are, it's highly available and resilient. So if there is a failure across a particular application, one of the application instances, the rest of the instances still keep that service highly available, right? And this is pretty hard when it comes to running a monolith. When considering a monolith application, you have all your services, all your business logic in one place. And if you have to multiply that multiple times, it's just waste of resource, as well as it's not that easy to scale when compared to a service built on a microservice built on a container, right? When we talk about reducing services, right, a smaller service leads to a smaller dev team. Because the service is pretty much a single task, and so you can have a very small dev team, and this pushes for a much more faster and a more agile delivery model where the team focuses on one product and one product alone. It also improves the visibility and control of that particular product. So the team is now essentially the architectural team for that particular product, right? And their primary focus is going to be that particular functionality. This also reduces the time to market for that business. So if it's a particular feature, the business wants to push certain features, they can prioritize that. And now the business is perceived more agile, and they can deliver much more quicker to customer expectations. Smaller dev teams also means well-rounded teams, because now you have development, QA, security, and the ops team all built into a small unit, a smaller team, right? And they're all focused and dedicated towards a specific feature. This also builds, the organization can take that model one step further and create common services for the organization. So let's say a rate limiter or a service discovery service, right? So you can create common services that can be used across the organization. And since your expertise is concentrated to a smaller team, it's typically going to become a center of excellence where anything related to rate limiters, you have an expert group that's well versed in it, and they deploy the entire, they design the entire solution for the organization. The other component to a cloud native application is called a service mesh. So a microservice application speaks to another application through API calls. Typically, that's the case. And a service mesh integrates that to a level where the service mesh runs the infrastructure where that communication happens. So inter-container communication runs on the service mesh. And what used to be written logic inside the application is now transported into a service mesh, a third layer, and that gives you more visibility into how your containers communicate with each other, and thereby how your applications communicate with each other as well. The service mesh also helps in high availability. So you can decide, the application proxy within the service mesh decides how to route the request. Talking about the next level, the infrastructure level. When we take cloud native, we have to focus on tools and services that are required to interact and leverage public cloud infrastructure like AWS, Azure, GCP, and all their services as well. It also is, another requirement is to be portable. So being cloud native means that your application should not be tied to a specific cloud platform and be cloud agnostic. So something like a service mesh can be deployed across various different clouds, not only public cloud, but even your private cloud as well, or most definitely your hybrid cloud. And another point to note is cloud native does not mean a public cloud alone. It could also be a hybrid cloud or a private cloud, depends on the business use case as well. Moving on to the third level is DevOps. So typically here you're building and shipping code, and it's expected that you build and ship as fast as possible, as well as often as possible without any sacrifice to reliability. Common tasks such as scaling a deployment or sending out updates can be automated, and common like cloud native components are designed to be highly available, as well as have automation in mind, so that you can always self-remediate in case of a like a service failure. But cloud native applications also means cloud native security policies. So you have cloud native security policies, controls, and various models. And staying cloud native alone does not ensure that you're inherently secure. We need to focus on the shared responsibility model, where the cloud service provider takes care of the resources and the service availability, while as customers, we take care of frequent system updates, security patches, and hot fixes, not only to our underlying operating system, but any other tool sets that we have that we've deployed as infrastructure in our environment. We'll talk about that more in the upcoming slides. So what are the considerations when securing a cloud native application? Cloud native also raises a new set of security concerns and challenges for the team. When breaking down a monolith into functional and non-functional microservices, we inherit multiple small microservices and components, as well as their APIs. And all this working together forms the actual monolith service, but now converted into a microservice, right? The microservices need to be well defined of their functionality, so that you have that visibility of what functionality they provide while staying loosely coupled, so that they can be moved across different cloud infrastructure, cloud service providers, and so on. The application deals with each other, like communicate with each other by means of the API or a service mesh. This communication layer creates a completely new dimension to the attack surface of your application stack. And that is a primary concern for most teams. When we look into new application stack, we also need to consider the new security tool sets that are required, right, to orchestrate a CI/CD pipeline. Tool sets like kubectl or Kubernetes dashboard add to the surface of your application as well. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Tesla Kubernetes hack in 2018, where a Kubernetes dashboard was compromised and to run crypto mining software. The next concept is user identities, roles, and privileges. So there needs to be a clear understanding of what roles and privileges are required for an application to interact with another. And the principle of least privilege always needs to be maintained when you consider app-to-app integration. Network security, like any typical environment, the network layer is pretty much a black box. Network isolation of unrelated applications can be done with segmentation. And there are options in Kubernetes for assigning namespaces and directing traffic by namespace rather than by IP address. And that's another concern as well. Security tools like firewalls, compliance tools, and access log correlation tools all depend on IP addressing as an identifier for an application. And that has moved on to a declarative style where you define an application by namespace or by a service label. The next point I want to bring into consideration is API misuse. So with the abundance of APIs and various different applications deployed in microservices architecture, data and intellectual property needs to be protected, right? Data security includes data either in transit using TLS encryption, TLS certificates, data at rest using encryption keys, and data in use by using a trusted execution environment. Encryption keys and secrets need to be rotated often, and certificates need to have an expiration date and a certificate manager as well. So you can always cycle those certificates as and when they expire, right? As well as when they get when they're exposed as well. The next point is misconfiguration. There needs to be an emphasis on security configuration since we've gotten far from workloads running on-prem within our perimeter to actually running on the cloud. And the ability to understand that config of your entire cloud footprint. A CSPM tool like Cloud Security Posture Management tool can bring that visibility of how your environment is configured and what other misconfigurations that are present in your environment. Having that strong posture on your workload is very important when you move from build to production. It really helps with the earned confidence as you move from step to step all the way to production. The final point is visibility. You cannot secure what you cannot see. And teams need to gain visibility into their deployments, any cloud resources that they've deployed, user or network activity in the cloud. And all this converts into a better cloud posture, reducing your risk and making sure that you adhere to compliance requirements in your environment. Now let's talk about cloud native security and some principles. So cloud native systems work on a principle of declaration and secure by default. Declaring an intent to an application and Kubernetes can be achieved by deploying with like security policies, runtime configuration. You can also mention how you want to run that particular container, let's say run as a certain user, do not allow privileged access, and assume a certain group level permissions as well. So all this is declared in terms of an infrastructure specification. So you push that file along with your application, and now suddenly your app dev team is also your ops team, right? Other considerations need to be updated operating system, as well as hardened images, the choice of hardened image for your environment. Encryption, as we discussed in terms of data at rest, data in transit, and if your use case demands data, like encryption in use as well. So you can always have an in-memory encrypted data store as well. The last privilege, the last point is least privilege, where you deploy your infrastructure with the least privilege required for it to complete a certain functionality. Also, another point to highlight is any a review of any third-party add-ons that you add to the infrastructure, because they could always add to your risk level. And so any third-party add-ons need to be evaluated for security as well as the risk that they incur to your application. The next two levels is build and ship. And this is right from the pull request, where you have static code analysis. You're looking through your code for code loops and any fixes or vulnerabilities that are present in your code, to a level where you run an OSS scan, which is an open source software scan, where you're looking for vulnerabilities in open source libraries that you depend on for your application runtime. The next step is to build a container image and run an image scan on that container. So tools like container image security solutions look into that container manifest and identify what are the vulnerabilities. The manifest file pretty much is your metadata for that image. Once the scan is complete, the image is now shipped to a container registry where it is stored, and it's considered an IT artifact. The next step to validate that image would be to run our dynamic application security testing tool. So you run functional tests, try negative scenarios, happy path scenarios on your image, and that's how you validate your entire build process. So the complete CI/CD pipeline can be aggregated to multiple steps, and each step has a certain output, which can be aggregated to arrive at a decision. So this allows for better visibility of your process as to each level, where if our security quality gates fails at a secure code level, like while you scan for static code analysis, then it can be triggered to the developer to look into it again. An OSS scan can result in looking for or getting recommended versions of packages that don't have that vulnerability, as well as when running a DAST scan, which is a dynamic application security scan, you can get feedback about your application as well. This feedback would help when taking a decision at the admission stage. But also another point to consider is having a component catalog. So every time you create an artifact from each of these processes, each of these steps, those artifacts can be converted into metadata. And anytime you want to scan your application later at a point in time, you can always run a scan against that metadata and not your live application in production or any other environment. And that would give you an up-to-date report of if you're vulnerable for a particular attack or not, right? The next phase is admission, where each for the admission level, it's pretty much intent driven, where you've already declared the intent with your infrastructure specification, and it's more of a quality gate where we check from a CI/CD standpoint if the required isolation is present in the environment. Let's say a network level isolation, inter-process or inter-container level security policy by namespace, if the right user and the group are assumed, as well as if privilege escalation needs to be blocked or not. So you can take multiple decisions based on that, as well as create mutable policies where your organization can say, hey, this is the default spec that we offer for all our applications. So whatever the developer like mentioned in the declared intent, but then these are the organizational policies that need to be overridden. So you can configure your policies in almost real time before you deploy into an actual runtime. The runtime is a little different. It's more dynamic, and you can consider a desired state. So as you declare an infrastructure, you set a desired state. And this desired state is a per application basis. So each application can take a certain desired state. And you can analyze if your configuration has drifted away from a certain desired state, as well as use automation to remediate that to fix or redeploy that container with the right desired state, so that your application as well as your business is still in compliance to your compliance requirements. I want to wrap up with like my final thoughts, where simplicity is always key. Keeping it simple is always better for visibility and for management. App dev teams are, like I said, app dev teams are now the new architecture teams, right? They make the choice. They are right from development, QA, security, and ops all together. And assuming security right from the start, like building security by default right from the start of the dev cycle always helps to build that confidence in the product, as well as you have a direct flow right from build to production, and you can focus on security throughout the entire life cycle. Installing guardrails and not just perimeter security. You can always install, like I mentioned, policy admission controllers, where it checks against the policy, and if there is insecure code, you can block a particular CI/CD pipeline from going forward, or any non-compliant images as well. You can make that decision built into the CI/CD pipeline, and that gives you more control as well as visibility across your deployments. Improved visibility and detection. A cloud security posture management tool would always help to look into what's your environment like, what's your security groups and security policies look like, and how far away from compliance you are, and create reports or provide remediation steps and to bring you back into compliance. The final 2 points are very key, and I want to stress more on them, is because always visit and revisit your application threat model, because an application is something that we defined as a continuous changing process where we're looking into agile development. Teams make changes very often, and a threat model also needs to be treated similar to your application code. So continuously revisit your application threat model and keep it updated in standard intervals across your release lifecycle. And finally, prepare an incident response plan. Mitigation of control gaps is always not enough. With each passing day, you have new zero-day vulnerabilities, and dev teams need to be empowered with the knowledge of what are the tools that exist and their responsibility as well. So I want to conclude by reading out Murphy's Law, which is whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Okay, okay. George, you left us with a doozy, and we won't be able to touch that one. But thank you for your time. I know that the next session is already starting, and it's the final session for this day. All that are still in this group, please go to the other session, the final one. Thank you, George. We're gonna have to maybe document or put something that we can make available to universities so that they know how they can also see some of these products in action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the things they might not be doing in their regular schoolwork, and so somehow we need to make those things that are with a regular developer cycle, bring them back to how do we train our students on those issues. What can be done? What can be done? And also, you need to meet Rodell. Rodell has a good connection in our Philippines universities, and that project that you've developed for the university in Canada, I think Rodell would like to know about it and see how it's going to go so that he can replicate it. And that's about training.
Yes, definitely, George.
Yes, training in data. I'm sorry, in our cloud solution, and making it available to the developer team. So that's pretty exciting. All right, let's go ahead and close this session, guys. I didn't leave you for any questions. Please reach out to George directly. He has shared his information in the speaker notes and through the app. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and take care.
Hey, bye now.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodell.
Guys.